Watch until the end of the video to get the valuable lesson. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to update the latest and best stories.
There was a boy named Nam who lived in a small village deep in the mountains. He had no smartphone, no computer, and every day he had to cross a stream and a dirt road several kilometers long to get to school. Despite the hardships of life, Nam's eyes always shone with something different, a ray of hope. Nam loved reading. Every time he borrowed a book from the school library, he treasured it like a treasure. One day, while Nam was sitting under a banyan tree near his house, he read a quote that touched his heart. Great leaders are not born from safety but are forged from hardship. That night, when the sky was filled with stars, Nam looked up and said to himself, "In the future I will become a leader. But, how can I become one?" That summer, for the first time in many years, Nam was taken by his parents to visit his grandfather, a man who had been a village chief and was highly respected. He lived in a more remote area of the countryside, where the wildness of nature was still preserved. His house was located in the middle of a dense fruit garden, where birds chirped all day long. One afternoon, while the two of them were sitting at an old bamboo table, Nam suddenly asked, "Grandpa, I want to become a good leader in the future. How can I do that?" His grandfather smiled, his eyes lighting up as if he had heard something he had been waiting for a long time. "Then tomorrow morning I will show you. No need to teach with words but with something much more vivid." The next morning, when the sunlight had not yet fully penetrated the leaves in the garden, Grandpa woke Nam up. "Wake up, my son. Today I have a gift for you." Nam rubbed his eyes, looking at Grandpa in confusion. "What gift is it, Grandpa?" "Something that will help you understand what it means to be a true leader." The two of them walked for more than 20 minutes to the end of the village, where there was an old man who raised birds famous throughout the area. After a while of talking, Grandpa chose to buy 2 baby birds, a starling and a starling, both of which had not yet grown their wings. On the way back, Nam was curious. "Are you going to teach me how to raise birds?" "No, I am going to let you observe their lives." When he got home, Grandpa set up a large cage on the porch. He put a bird in it, filled it with food, water, and carefully covered it. The remaining one he released into a bamboo grove near the garden, where there was an abandoned bird's nest. Nam worried. "How will it survive out there, sir? It's cold, there are stray cats, snakes, not to mention the rain and wind." He just smiled. "We don't need to interfere. Just observe. Take notes if you want. But don't help it." Nam took care of the bird in the cage every day. He named it Sano. It became familiar with his voice and could sing a few simple notes. But it still jumped around in the cage whenever it heard rain or loud noises. Meanwhile, the starling, which he jokingly called Warrior, was left unattended. Yet, sometimes Nam saw it flying around the garden, catching insects and even chasing a larger bird away from its territory. Its wings were strong, its feathers became smooth and thick, its eyes were sharp. Nam began to understand something, but his grandfather still did not say anything. Nam returned to his grandfather's house during a summer vacation when he was 15. He was taller and more mature. But what surprised him was that both birds were still alive. Little Starling was still in the familiar cage. It still sang, but it couldn't fly. The cage had been replaced, but no one dared to release it, because once it flew for a few seconds and then crashed into the wall. As for Warrior, now a strong bird, almost no one could get close to it. It flew high, freely gliding in the sky above the garden. Nam was silent. "Do you understand now?" Grandfather asked. Nam nodded slightly, but he continued. "Little Starling was loved, protected, and fed well. But it couldn't fly, couldn't take care of itself, and without humans it wouldn't last a day. What about Warrior? It has endured hunger, cold, almost been mauled by a cat, fallen from a tree, but now, it is the king of the sky." He looked straight into Nam's eyes. Leaders do not grow up in a safe cage. They grow from hardships, challenges, from learning how to stand up after failure. That afternoon, Grandpa and Nam sat by the fire. It was pouring rain, the sound of it crackling on the old roof tiles made the space more cozy. Nam said nothing, he was thinking about the Warrior, about Little Starling, and himself. Grandpa quietly poured each of them a cup of hot tea, then asked, "Nam, do you know who founded Alibaba?" "Jack Ma?" Nam answered immediately, his eyes lighting up. "Yes." "Did you know he was rejected 30 times when applying for a job, and rejected by Harvard University 10 times? Nam was stunned. He had never heard that detail. Jack Ma once applied to be an employee at KFC. Out of 24 people who applied, he was the only one rejected. Everyone laughed at him. But because of those rejections, he learned not to give up in the face of failure. There is no Jack Ma in the safe zone, only a warrior learning to fly in the storm. Nam was silent, swallowing every word. And do you know Malala? Nam shook his head. She is a Pakistani girl. At the age of 15 she was shot in the head just because she dared to speak up for the right of girls to go to school. Everyone thought she would die. But Malala not only survived, but also rose up to become a global symbol for education and human rights. At 17 she became the youngest person to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. Nam exclaimed, "Only 17 years old, sir?" He nodded. Good leaders, Nam, are not the smartest, the strongest, but the ones who do not give up when they are knocked down. Grandfather stood up, walked to the old wooden cabinet, and took out an old notebook that had turned yellow with time. This was the notebook he wrote during the war. In it was the story of a man named Hugh, his close comrade. Nam opened each page, the smell of old paper mixed with the smell of hot tea. On the first page was the line, "Broken legs but never broken will." He began to tell. Hugh was seriously injured in a military operation. Both legs were no longer intact. Everyone thought he would ask to return to the rear. But no. He asked to stay, command the logistics team, train young soldiers, and inspire them every night. Every word he said was a lesson that could not be learned from books. Nam looked intently as if he was seeing Hugh appear before his eyes. Later, when peace came, Hugh became the principal of a secondary school in the mountains. He taught for 20 years from a wheelchair. He never led a company in his life, but he was the leader of a generation of students. He put his hand on the notebook and said softly, "Leadership is not a position. It is influence. It is the ability to inspire others even when you are suffering." Nam suddenly felt his eyes moist. After that summer vacation, Nam returned to the city. But something had changed inside him. He was no longer the boy who liked to sit still and wait for others to solve problems for him. On the first day of 10th grade, Nam decided to do something he had never done before. Sign up for the school's English debate team, even though his friends had laughed at him for his poor pronunciation. His hands were shaking as he filled out the application. He remembered the image of the warrior soaring in the sky. And his grandfather's words. Leaders are not born from safety. They are forged from the first trembling. The first debate audition, Nam stuttered. He forgot his words. Sweat soaked his back. A few giggles rang out in the audience. Nam bowed his head and walked home. That night he video called his grandfather. Without a word of reproach, he just asked, "Do you remember the time when the warrior was almost mauled by a cat?" Nam nodded. Did he give up? Nam shook his head, his eyes brimming with tears. What about you? The next day Nam returned. He recorded every practice session, every English text, every pronunciation, and listened to it dozens of times. He started reading English aloud every morning in his bedroom. He accepted being laughed at. But he did not give up. That winter, the school organized a 2-day, 1-night survival trip in the highlands. The temperature dropped to 8 degrees and the gloomy sky did not bode well. Nam almost refused because he was afraid of the cold and tiredness. But he remembered Sa No and his grandfather's words. Those who choose the easy way will always need someone to nurture them. So he got in the car. That night, a heavy rain came unexpectedly. Nam's group's camp was blown down by the wind. Some of his friends cried in fear. Nam, trembling but alert, called on his friends to get raincoats, gather firewood, and move to a nearby wooden hut. He did not shout loudly, did not give orders, but everyone listened. The next morning, the teacher in charge suddenly announced. Nam's team was the only team to complete the survival challenge. The whole group burst into tears. A girl turned to Nam and asked, "How can you be so calm?" Nam just smiled. In his mind at that moment, it was not the image of the rain, but the image of the warrior soaring through the fierce storm. At the end of the school year, the speech contest took place. Nam was no longer the shy student of the past. He stepped onto the stage with a clear voice, confident eyes, and gave a speech titled, "Comfort Zones Kill Leaders, Comfort Zones Kill Leaders." Nam's speech silenced the entire hall. Not because he spoke perfect English, but because every sentence, every example, every emotion was genuine, vivid, and felt by the audience. In the end, Nam only said one sentence. "I used to be a bird in a cage. And I know I don't want to die in it." The entire hall stood up and applauded. The following summer vacation, Nam returned to the village. The scenery had not changed, but his heart had changed. He brought with him a small medal from the speech contest, and a long story to tell his grandfather. That afternoon, the two of them sat under the same tree as years ago, where the question had begun, how to become a good leader? Nam opened his backpack and took out a photo of him standing on stage holding a microphone high with hundreds of students clapping below. He smiled and put the photo in his grandfather's hand. I understand, Grandpa. Grandpa said nothing. He just looked up at the sky. On a nearby tree branch, a starling swooped down. Nam recognized the warrior. It was no longer the wet, cowering bird it had been. Now it had become a mighty creature, shiny feathers, bright eyes, a lean, strong body. It landed, looked at Nam, tilted its head as if recognizing him. Then suddenly it spread its wings. A strong, decisive flight, straight up into the sky, without hesitation, without looking back. Nam watched, feeling a smoldering energy growing inside him. Grandpa, the little starling has flown high now. He nodded, his eyes still following the flight path. And the bird in the cage? Nam asked softly. He did not answer. He stood up, gently leading Nam into the house. In the corner of the room the cage was still there. The cage door had been opened a long time ago. But inside the bird was still perched in the same place. Its wings were weak, too used to not flying. Nam understood. Sometimes confinement is not the cage but the habit of choosing safety. Who are you? Are you a caged bird, protected but unable to fly? Or are you a bird that struggles in the storms, but eventually learns to master the sky? Leadership does not come from titles, degrees, or positions. It comes from not giving up, no matter who laughs at you, no matter how many times you fall. Great leaders are not born, they are forged in the fire. If today you are tired, discouraged, feeling falling behind, remember, warriors do not fly on sunny days. They learn to fly in the storms. Get out of the cage. It will hurt, but you will fly.